Okay, we're starting back up. So this time we're going to build a brand new project and look at categories and how that works. And so we're going to extend some behavior. And so go into object-oriented programming in Objective-C. If you haven't done this already, go into source code examples. This one is going to be the one that's called reverse string category tutorial. So reverse string category tutorial, it's PPT. So there is no solution on the PPT file. I did not put one together, so you'll have to build it yourself. You can't cheat with the final solution. So if you open up the PowerPoint, we see this here. Most of this tutorial is a bunch of lecture stuff, so it's partly lecture, partly building a project. So sometimes we might want to perform some task on an object, and it's not included in the methods of that class. As an example, the string class. So we can extend the existing string class to add our own methods to it. And when we do that, we can essentially customize the behavior and build a better, more functionality. So an example of this might be to reverse the string order of characters in the NSString object. We've been looking at NSString as one of the major data types being used in a lot of iOS applications and things. So while we could certainly do this in the code, a better way of doing this is to add a class method. So we're going to add a class method now to NSString itself that could reverse any string that we put in there. So we can use a category, and it's called a category, to add the string reversal method to the NSString class. Protocols, I'm going to show you protocols after I show you the category. But protocols are more using like an interface. A category is a class level. It's like creating a class level set of methods. Here what we're going to do is create our own class addition, an own method we're going to add to the string class. And so when we use it, we can just include this category in any project that we're doing. Now we have an extension on the string class to basically reverse a string. We're going to add a new method to it. So what is a category? A category is an Objective-C construct. Allows you to add methods to any class regardless of whether or not the source code for that class is available. We're not changing NSString, but we're going to add a method to it. Kind of a different concept. You don't really do that. Can you do this in Java? I don't know if you could do this in Java. Huh?
You mean the reverse binding?
Excuse me? No, I meant can you add a method to an existing class in Java? I don't know if you can. You can overload. You can overload and override. But anyway, the functionality is slightly unique, I think. We'll see. Perhaps you can do it in Java. I've never seen anyone do this in C++. Can you add something to string.h or string iostream? You know, you can overload. You can overload operators. You can overload things. So it's kind of like overloading, but there's no such thing as overloading operators in Objective-C. You can't do that. And then in Java, I don't believe you can't overload operators, I know that. I don't believe you can add class methods to existing classes. So this allows you to add a class method to an existing class. Once you see it, you'll go, oh, maybe. Then you can decide whether or not you think you can do it in Java or C++. There might be a way of getting around it. So once you add the category to the class, all the methods in the category are added to all of the instances of the class in your code. And since categories are maintained in separate files, it's a matter of including the categories when you're creating new projects and extending the features as you desire. So let's go ahead and open up a new single view application. We're going to create one, a single view template, and we're going to add a UI text field and a UI label to it so it looks like this. Because what we're going to do is we're going to enter in a string. When we press return in the text field, it's going to run our method. Our method's going to use this new class that we're going to create, this new category that we're going to create to extend the string class to add a method to reverse the string. Alright, so let's go ahead and get our project started. So I'm going into Xcode, and in Xcode I'm going to create a new Xcode project, and I'm going to say a single view application, and I'm clicking on next, and this one's going to be called the string reverse. Call it anything you want, doesn't really matter. And I'm still going to leave it on iPhone, and I'm going to click on next, and I'm going to copy it to my desktop. Alright, so between this project and the last project, I did not give up. I kept thinking, well, what in the world's wrong with this application icon concept? And I still haven't figured it out, but I think it has to be a PNG file. Anyway, long story short, it started working for me. So I want to show you a little trick that you can do. And now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attempt to do what I was doing in the last video, was essentially to add an app icon, because I don't like the icon that shows up, the just generic icon that shows up here. So I'm going to press this little arrow next to the app, and then I'm going to get three. I'm going to get the iPhone Spotlight, and the iPhone app. And this one says 60 points, 40 points, and 29 points. Well, let me show you how this works here. And I'm hoping this is going to set the app icon, which is what I really wanted it to do. So it says app icon. Launch image is like a splash image, splash screen. Launch image comes up, launches for a few minutes, goes away. It's kind of like a, hello, here we are, welcome to XYZ Company, and then the app starts. So what I want to do is change the app that appears, the icon that appears for the app. So what I've done in between here, our slight little 10-minute break, was I downloaded this icon here. And this icon here is in the wrong image size. It's just big. In fact, if I click on, open it up in preview, I can actually go into Tools and look at the size, or go into Adjust Size, and I see it's 13.3 inches. If I switch that to pixels, I see, wow, it's 1006 by 1006. If I look at the pixels for it, and I say that's a huge icon. And you're wondering, where did I get this icon? We'll go out to Google. It's right here, actually. Actually, how did I get there? Just type in .png, and then click on Images, and then you get a bunch of images that come up. These are probably going to be randomly located. When I tried to save it from here, however, actually I can see the image. It says 106 by 106 background, Looker Chrome something .net, probably who owns it. If I do a save as, I get a JPEG image. I don't know why, but the JPEG images aren't working when they used to work, so I don't know what happened with this. So if you click on the image and actually click on the image, you want to make sure you don't get a background. You have to make it so it's a white background, and if you save it here, if I do a save as, I get a PNG. So you want to get a PNG with a clear background. And I can tell I've got a clear background on this because of this checkerboard stuff. It means there's no background. It's transparent. So that's the word I guess I'm looking for. That one, let's see. Actually, I think they're all, well, most of them. Let's look at this one here. Think different. Does this one have a transparent action? I'll try with this one actually. No, that's a JPEG. We don't want that. Let's take a look here on this one. I'm going to download another one. Oops. I don't know what I clicked on. Seriously, let me go back. I don't like that. Let's just try Superman here. I don't know if Superman is going to have a transparent background. It's a JPEG. Let's see. Maybe I should. Here's one. Here's one's got a transparent background on it. I can see by the little boxes. So I'm going to click on this guy, and I'm going to save him as on my desktop. I'll just call him Image 2. We'll see what happens with this. And I see my internet's going to go on me right now. Oh, here it goes. So I'm going to save this one. I've got a transparent background on this one, and I got a PNG file. I'm good to go. So I'm going to call this one Test2. Test2. All right. So now I got some images, and hopefully you've downloaded some images yourself. And you don't actually have to add the images to your project. Just keep them on your desktop. Click on the project itself. Go down to where it says App Icons. Click on the itsy bitsy little arrow next to Source App Icon. And then we get this little spot here. So what I'm going to do is just going to drag one into it. This is the one I really want here. Is the iPhone app. This is going to be for iOS 7, which is what I have actually. So I'm going to take this guy here. I'm going to drag him in. And see how I got a plus symbol that goes in here? And this one actually works, which is odd. Oh, my device is locked. Let's see. I'm going to run it actually and see if my little icon shows up. I'm sorry?
Error.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted, was the error, but it didn't show up before when I first did it. All right, so I'm going to click on this little arrow up here, and it's going to tell me that the asset catalog is wrong here because I've got a ambiguous content. Okay, so I have an application icon that's set, but it should be 120 by 120, but it's actually 443 by 448. So if I take this guy and load him up into preview, and I look at I go into tools, and I go into adjust size, and I change it to pixels, it's exactly what, hello, I want to move you over. It's exactly what Xcode told me. It's 443 by 480, but it should be 120 by 120. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to call it 120 by 120. I'm going to take off the scale proportionally here. 120. Now if I press OK, I got a smaller icon. So if I want to, I can do a save or save as, or I'm going to save it now. So now I have it saved, and this is the bad one, so I'm going to delete this guy. Actually, all I have to just click on it, press the delete key. I'm going to drag him in again, and I'm going to rerun it. Actually, I'm going to run it on a simulator here. I put the iPhone, iOS 7. Okay, that's good. I'm going to put that one in here. I run it on this one here. Let's see. And you see I have the little app that shows up here for the name of the app. I don't really have anything. I just built this plain project, so naturally my screen is empty. If I escape, I'm not going to escape, is it? In the old days you used to be able to escape. Yeah. Alright, so I can't see my icon on here because I can't. I can put an exit in there. I can see it on the phone though, you're right. So I'm going to close my simulator here. At least I know I'm working. Now I'm going to run it on my device. And the device is locked again. That's great. Alright, so now when I run it on my device, it should work. And you can see, I'm going to exit out of this blank app. You can't see it from your distance, but you see that app is the icon app that I just put in there. So now I have this little purple thing that shows up on my app list, you know, on my desktop. And the one next to it, it's got this bunch of lines and stuff on it that doesn't look so good. You know, it's the default app that they put on there. Anyway, so now I have my lovely little icon that goes along with my app. I can set it for the different resolutions, but I just basically set it for the plain one. And I'm going to have the same problem exist with both of these two. And what I do is just check the error message and figure out, well, what image resolution does this need to be? Use preview, resize the image, drop it back in. And that's how you're going to solve the problem. All right. So to get rid of all this stuff and go back to the programming part of this, I can also see, actually just as a side tangent here, now my app, this is my icon here, it's going to be used everywhere. So I see the icon here, I see it here. It's like a lovely little addition. You can also set, if you didn't like what you called it, you can have the version number, the build, the team. You can add your developer account to this. You can deploy it on different devices, iPad, iPhone. You can change the version. I don't have the deployment target, anything outside of 7 installed right now. You can change the orientation, landscape, portrait. So when it comes up in a the different orientation. But this is where you're going to include the core libraries and things, and you got the build phases and the capabilities and all of the different things that are about the configuration of the app itself. So this isn't really Objective-C programming, this is app configuration. And the way you're going to get familiar with this is to experiment with the different features and see. But most people in the beginning usually want to know how to put an icon on their app. So that's how you do it. Alright, so look at beyond icons. And look at the user interface. So let me get back to here. I need a label and I need a text box because I want to add this category to reverse my string. So I'm going to click on my storyboard, and I like to move it over a little bit. Let's see, add some properties. Oh, I thought someone said something. Let's see. Let's change the background color. I'm gonna make this one blue. tired of green. I see a lot of green screens on there, so let's just, I want to be unique, so let's just, no, purple looks good. Maybe I'll take it and make it purple. Yeah. Actually, here, I want to go lighter in color. Let's see. This one looks good, kind of a pinky color. Oops. Of course, I changed the wrong setting. Let's see, bluish. Ah, there we go. Make it orange for Halloween. So, I want to get rid of the tint, actually. Let's take the tint off. So. Alright, so I got my background. So now I'm going to put my label and my text field. So, text field, I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to put a label on here. And the label, I'm going to put a little instruction label. I'm going to be different this time. Put one up here. It's going to say, enter a string to reverse. There we go. And then I'm going to put a button in here. No, I'm not going to put a button. We're not going to do it, but we're going to use the on-end event just to change it around. So this one's just going to be another label. So I'm going to put another label out here. And this label here, I'm going to make the same length as the string. And actually, I'm going to change my font a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to change my font here too, make this one a little bit bigger. So I type something into the field, it's going to end up in a bigger font. So I put this one on 24. Let's put this one on 24 too. 24. There we go. And if I'm going to do that, I'm probably going to make this thing a little bit bigger. Okay, now I don't want this label to show up here, so I'm going to take the label off. But I still have the label here. So once I get done, the next step I'm going to do, and you might guess this already, we're going to wire the components. So if you follow this methodology, or at least in the beginning, you have some you don't open up like a blank document and go, what do I do now? You have some sort of pattern to follow through. I always build a GUI first, then I wire the components, then I build the logic for the components. You can do that at a step. You can just add stuff in the future. There's no law that says you can't move things around. But it's like how I like to kind of build these examples. So I'm going to click on the tuxedo icon. I call it a tuxedo. Probably, has a better way of describing it. And it automatically brings up my controller.m, so I need to always switch it over to controller.h. I can probably change that so it brings up the .m, but I'm not going to bother right now. Alright, so I want to drag over this guy here, make a property out of him. Why? I don't know. So we'll just drag him over. And this one's going to be the text entered, or entered text. There we go. Same as last. Basically, it's very similar to the last project we just worked on. And then this label here, although it's not visible, I can still drag it over here. And then I'm going to call this one output. Output. I guess I could have been called input, the other one, but I'm going to call this one output. I'll do output text. So now I have my two properties. If I want an action to be performed, I have to put an action in my code. So my event. So I can cheat. Well, the assignment, the tutorial just has this guy being used. If you want to put a button, you know how to put a button out there. You can make a button, and you're going to do the click event on the button. You can actually do a click event on an image too, or on an image resize, or on an image move. And what we're going to do the next weekend, so if you guys practice between now and the next time I see you, and you do a couple, then you get up to speed a little bit, we're going to do a bunch of fun stuff. So mostly the next weekend I see you is going to be a bunch of projects after projects. And so we'll just flip through and we'll just do a bunch of stuff. If you have any recommendations or any suggestions of stuff you want to see done, you can send me an email message between now and then, and I can add it to the agenda. But for the most part, I'm just going to go back to this text field thing, and I'm going to wire the did end on exit event. And I'm going to put in here that the text was entered, so I'm going to call this one text entered. Or text, I'm going to call this one text done, actually. Doesn't really matter what you call it. And then I'm going to change the ID type to a UI text and leave the event on did end on exit. and then go ahead and press connect. And then we have our text done. So at this point, this is what we did last time. You know, it's just another ordinary app that we're developing here. So let's see what's different about this one. We've got our UI, and now in the Attribute Inspector, we're going to set the UI text return button type to done, and we did that already. Attribute Inspector on the fourth button, we're going to return key towards the bottom. We don't really need to worry about that. That was the old way of doing it. That was using the return type to done. We're going to respond the first resigner. We're going to resign the first responder. So use that method because the other one wasn't working. So it wasn't working for me. So all right. So in the Attribute Inspector here, we've already done that. Okay. So what we could do if we wanted to, let's just do it. We could do is come in here and say, okay, so let's go over to the viewcontroller.m file. And I know I'm going to want to resign that first responder on the text field. So I'm going to type in, and then I'm going to realize, oh, well, I didn't do my synthesize yet. So I can synthesize first. And if I want to synthesize, then I have to remember, what am I synthesizing? Just my two properties. I've had students in the past try to synthesize IB actions, and it doesn't work. It's the properties. The only thing you're doing is the properties. So if you put the properties on the top, I can see them. I've got entered text and output text. So if I go to the .m, right underneath at implementation, I can type in at synthesize, and then this is going to be the output text, comma, text done or something. Oh, enter text. Enter text, there we go, thank you. That's why I put the windows side by side sometimes when I'm too lazy. If you put them side by side, you could see what you called it in the .h, so you can synthesize it in the .m. So, all right, so now that I synthesized it, I'm going to go over to the text done event. And the first thing I'm going to do is resign that first responder. So don't forget to do that. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, this is in the entered text field, and I'm going to resign first responder. And I don't have to type it, I can just let the system do it for me. So now I have the UI kind of working for me as far as I know. In fact, I can test the UI if I want to. I don't want to run it on my device anymore. I'm going to put it on the iPhone simulator. So I can come out and see, well, let's just make sure I got a working project. Because once the UI is done, the hard part is over with, really. So yeah, okay, so the UI looks pretty good. Looks like things are responding like they should. So, all right, and I can see the text that's typed in here just fine. So now I'm going to build the logic. So the logic is going to be this category. So we're going to put in another Objective-C category. So we're going to actually pick a category. And we're going to do it from the iOS menu. We can actually do it from both. But we're going to pick it from the iOS side. So go ahead and go into Xcode. Click on File, New, and then we're going to put a file in. So File, New, File. Same thing we did yesterday with Employee and Person. But yesterday we added in an Objective-C class, and we did it over here on Akoka. We can also I'm now pressed in the wrong spot, so don't do this. But I'm in OS X over here. And if I press on OS X, I can add a category, I can add a protocol to a non-iOS application. Same concept, works the same way. We're doing Objective-C programming here. Works the same way any platform you're working this on. Because I'm working with an iOS project, I want to do it on Coca Touch. So I see Coca Touch. Coca Touch is under the iOS category. So I can click on Coca Touch, or I can click on iOS. It doesn't really matter. What I'm looking for is this guy here. It says Objective-C category. This is what we added the other day. It was a class. We're not going to do a class. We're going to do a category. We also have a protocol. I'm going to show you a protocol, but remember we have protocol here as well. So click on Next. We're going to do protocol after we do this one. And then, hold on one second. There we go. So after I click on the Objective-C category, I'm going to name the category. So name the category added methods. Make sure that the category is on NS string. So we're going to type in added methods, and we want to make sure category is on NSString. So let's go back in here. And it actually says NSString. Who knows? That's probably the most popular selection. And I'm going to call it added methods. We good? Stop me if I'm going too fast. Added methods. It's not an inheritance, it's a category on. So we're not inheriting from this. We're going to create a category on. So go ahead and click on next.
I'm not getting any string.
Type, if you don't get it, it's in here, if this is empty, type in NSString. Does that work? Okay, good. Go ahead and put it in their default directory. Just go ahead and press on create. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Now I want to make this bigger. Ah, there we go. Alright, so now you should have two new classes and two new files added. One says NSString plus added methods.h, and then we have NSString plus added methods.m. So don't use that in the title, just put added methods. So we have NSString plus added methods. Actually, the plus is kind of interesting. It's because we're adding class methods. So it's added methods to NSString that we're going to use on objects of that same class. So the find and naming convention makes it easy to see the categories when you need to add them. You can take those two and drag them into other projects once you create them. What we're going to do is just add another method. So we're going to open up the .h and we're going to put the method prototype in there. And the method prototype is going to be a method that we're going to called string by reversing a string. We're going to create a new string by reversing a string. Notice the plus sign. The plus sign means it's not for instances of objects. This is a class method. It's a class method that, lo and behold, we're adding to NSString. So that's why we have NSString plus added methods. Because if it was minus, it would be from an object. It's not an object. It's a plus for class methods versus object methods, or instance methods, I should say, not object. So go ahead. I'm going to copy this one, actually, because I don't want to type. But we're going to put this one in the .h file. So I'm going to open up my Objective-C code and take a look here. And I'm going to click on the .h file. And in my .h file, I'm putting a method prototype in here. And the method prototype looks like this. Get rid of the side piece. Oops. There we go. So here's our method. And let's take a look at the Objective-C part of it. We have plus, because this is a class method, not an instance. All yesterday and today we've been doing minus signs, making an instance method. We're not going to call this from instances of the objects. We're going to call this from the NSString class. The type it's going to return is an NSString. The name of the method is string by reversing a string. It takes on one parameter. You might guess what that one parameter is. It's an NSString, and it's called str. So when we run this, we're going to send it a parameter that's going to be a string. It's going to take the string. Inside the method, we're going to use that string called str inside the method, and we're going to manipulate it, and then we're going to return it. And after we manipulate it, the idea is basically to reverse the contents of it. We with so far? Okay, good. Save the file or close the file. I don't know. Click on the .m. In the .m, the first thing it's going to tell you is you have an unimplemented method. Yes, I know. So I'm actually going to make my life easier. I'm going to do this. Copy. Go into the implementation file, paste it in there, and build a... Take the semicolon off the end of it. Put the opening and closing brackets. Control reaches the end of a non... Yes, I know. It's not... It needs to return something. have to return something, actually we could just return str and we can get rid of that error message. But we might not be returning that str, but right now we're going to return it. All right, so if I go back into the instructions, let's take a look at the body of the reversing a string method. So in C++, actually C and C++, well just C++ because C++ has string. This is the same logic, it's a character array. A string in C++ is a character pointer actually, or character array, depending upon how you view it. We're going to use that as a C string. So we're going to use a character C string, we're going to call it C string, it's a character array of 50. So we have one character array for the starting, one character array for the ending. If we do it character by character, we can read the string in character by character and copy it in reverse order from one array to the other array, character by character, which is how we're going to reverse the string. So we have a string that's going to be our return value because we really want a string out of that. So we're actually at the end, we're actually going to return that string. So, but that string is going to happen, it's going to be created by this little loop we're going to go through that takes one character array and transforms it into the other. We're just going to take first one here, last one here, first one here, second to the last one here, or second one here, second to the last one here. Just reverse it, essentially is what we're going to do. So string is the parameter that we're taking in. We're going to get the C string. What does that mean? Well, it's another one of those methods that we have that's built in on string. So instead of create a string by this, create a float from the string, do this from the string. Instead, we're going to get the C string. We're going to get the C string from a C string. The maximum length is going to be, well, let's just find the length of the string. So string length of bytes using encoding. And the encoding that we're going to be using is UTF-8, which is compatible with NSString and string in general. We find the encoding, we add 1 to the end of it because we have a null character at the end of the string. We can print out to C string. So we can print it out. And then for I is equal to 0, I is going to be I is going to be less than the length of the string. Reverse the string by taking reverse I, the new string, and then we have the string length minus 1. We're going to the end of the other array. So we're going to take the end of the other array, add it to the start. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we take the end of the other one, we add it to the start of the other one. We're taking one character array and adding it character by character in reverse order from one character array to another character array. Then we take the final character array and we add the null character to the right end of it. So now the null character is at the end instead of at the start. And then we say that this is our string. Reverse string is going to be equal to an NSString, string with C string. So we have string with float, string with integer, C string with C string. We just create a string from a C string. And the C string we're going to create it from is going to be the reverse string that is a reverse string from the encoding that we've done, sending it. Here's our reverse string. It's up here somewhere. No, it's the same string. Here it is here, by the way. With a UT8 encoding, string encoding applied to it. This is, we have like 4 or 5 different encoding formats for the strings. It gives us our character set, our capabilities for the types of characters, the special symbols and things. Imagine them as being character sets. But we have string encoding. So the string is compatible with certain character sets. The NT8 is ANSI compliant. If we were working with a foreign language, we'd be using a different encoding. So it's like the recognition of the alphabet and the available characters that belong to the character set. Google UTF-8 actually, and you'll learn all about the encoding scheme. It's the format for the way that the string is created. What you can put in the string, what can show up on this. So sometimes you see applications that have these really weird characters that show up. is because they were using a different encoding and then they translated it over to something that wasn't compatible with it. So instead of seeing the character, you see like the smiley face. You see the smiley face a lot, actually. Or you see like really strange apostrophes or something. Because there was another character in there, but the encoding scheme used to represent the character set changed. So now it doesn't know what it is. This is ANSI compliant standard English. So it has, actually this is stripped down. It doesn't have any of the special characters like the tilde, the accent marks, and none of the special characters that you're going to get in extended character sets. So anyway, we could probably leave out the encoding and it would work just fine, but it's not reliable. I mean, it's not 100% that we're actually going to get the string that we actually entered in, given what characters we put in there. So, all right, so let's just cut and paste and put this in here. So let's see what happens. Give or take a few cut and paste errors. Edit copy, I should say copy and paste. So let's see. I'm going to get rid of these guys on the bottom here and fix it when I paste everything in. And see, this is actually, this was a different encoding scheme. That's not a real apostrophe. So that's actually an example. See how you get that when I typed it on my keyboard? That's UTF-8. That wasn't, that was something else. So let's see, I'm going to fix this up a little bit. Let's see, this looks pretty good. I'm going to move this around a little bit. I like it all on one line. See, I like my lines better instead of the word wrapping. There you go. This guy here will go here. Alright, that looks pretty good. Get this guy in here. I got a long space here. Let's get rid of that one. Extra line return. And what's this one here? What I got this? Oh, that's for the for loop. Okay, good. I got these guys fixed up. Now I'm going to take this, fix this guy up. Return value, I got a 0. Now I'm going to have a complaint here. What's wrong with this? I got some sort of special character that's formatted here because I can't get past it here. So instead I'm going to come over here and just hit the delete key. Get rid of that. There we go. Put the thing back. And then now I have this 0 that showed up out of nowhere, so I'm going to get rid of that 0. And say, well, what's wrong here? I got something going on here. There's some special character that's in there. So I get rid of that one. And let's take a look at this one and see what it says. Expected a colon. Did I leave out a colon there? Let's see. I don't think I left out a colon there, did I? Okay, I guess I may have deleted it accidentally. But this was running length by bytes using encoding. It needs a colon because this is the parameter that I'm sending it. I'm sending an NTFS string plus 1 encoding, so 1 string. So, all right, so that looks like it. Looks like I got it to work. It looks like, and so if yours didn't paste correctly, probably an ironic kind of phenomena. It's because the encoding is not right. Character encoding got changed between that PowerPoint cut and paste, or copy and paste. All right, so now I should be able to run it, I believe. Let's just take a look to see if there's anything I left out here. No. So if we go over, as soon as we run it, people are going to get too excited. Here's where that 0 came from, I see. So yeah. I don't know how I missed that. I probably removed that colon here somehow. But anyway. So what do we just do? So it's much easier to index into a C string, which is what we're doing, and then build up the character by character than it would be to take a NS string object and manipulate the object as an object, which is why we converted it to a character array. So in this method we set up 2 buffers, 2 character arrays. Then we get a C string representation of the str argument, the string we're going to give it, by using the get C string maximum length encoding method. So we're going to get the string from the text box that we're sending to it as the str argument. We're going to get the length. We're going to use the length to create the character array from that representation. So the maximum length parameter must be one more than the number of bytes, because we need to put the null character at the end. Because a string has a null character compared to a character array that doesn't actually have one. So we have the number of bytes in this string to account for the null character. We have one extra byte that we put in there. So there's a +1 in there. Then we copy each one of the characters from the C string to the reverse string in reverse order in the for loop that's in there. After we do that, we put the null character at the end of the string, and then we create the new NS string from the contents of the C string that we have that we returned. So in order to do this, we have to add to the viewcontroller.h file, because we basically added the the category, but we're not telling the method to use the category yet. So what we did here, if we can save it, and we've completed the category. So now we've added this method to NSString. So objects of NSString can use this method. So now we have to change viewController to use this method. So we're going to import the category so we can use it in viewController. So we're going to need to add this line to the top of viewcontroller.h. So go back up here. Now we're going to click on viewcontroller.h. And at the top, underneath our UI kit, this is the same thing we did with person and main, person and employee. We have to add the .h file. So now we have NSString plus added methods.h that we have in here from our new category. We already wired the buttons, so we've got the buttons wired. Now we need to put in the input done, or whatever we call the IB action for the did end on exit for the UI text field. We're going to use this code here. So this code here is going, actually here I'll copy and paste it so you can see where it's going. We don't need to resign the first responder, I've already done that. But I do want to point something out there before I forget. So I'm going back into the .m file. So I put in here the text, entered text, resign first responder. I'm going to put this above it. So let me explain what we're putting in here. And we don't have output text. We have output text, actually. There we go. And this would be output text. Anyway, I'll fix that in a second. So self, let me go over the code here and I'll fix it when I'm going over it. Self.output text. Well, that's actually going to be our output text. So you have to change the naming because I called it something different. The text that's being outputted, and then I have the entered text. So self.outputText.text equals from NSString, because we added the category, added a method to NSString, string by reverse string. Well, isn't that what we did? It is sender.text. It's coming from the UI text field as the sender. So we add it there. Here it's just going to take and put it in the NS log. We don't even need this line of code, but if we're going to use this line of code, I need to change it so it's the text actually. So NS log is going to put in here self.text, output text.text. Don't necessarily need to put the NS log in here, but if you wanted to see it while it was running, it's a great way of troubleshooting. Great way of seeing if the text actually is right. And this is going to be the output text. This is going to be the resulting text. And then down here I have entered text. This is the line I put it in there originally. But I wanted to point something out to you. Sender. Sender is the object, how we got to this method. So we got to this did end on exit method by a sender. Who sent us there? The sent us is the object. So it's not this, which is actually interesting. I would think that it would be this. It's not. It's sender, which is different from self. We're the view controller, so we're the self. So we're the self object, and we're going to take self.output text, or in our case I called it output text. for my synthesized property. But if you're thinking about it, we're the view controller and we're controlling the view, and this item is on the view, so it's self. But why is this sender? I never really quite got that part. But we could put the word center. I mean, I guess I do get it, but I I don't follow it. I'd rather just put the name of the component in there. But that's the same sender here, so which means I could put the name of the component in there too. I mean, I can send it the entered text .text over here. Or I could use sender. And if I put sender here, then I guess I'm going to put sender here, just to be consistent. But it doesn't really matter is what I'm trying to tell you. You could put the actual name of the object that sent me to this method, or I could put sender. Sometimes it's a little clearer for beginners when they look at sender. What's sender? You know, just to put the name of the object. And the name of the object we're really talking about is this object right here. It's the output excuse me, it's the entered text is what sent us there. And where is the entered text? Well, that one is this guy up here. Oops. On the storyboard. This is the sender. It's the entered text object. Sender got us there because we pressed enter in the here. So in our implementation over here, we throw this keyword center on you. Oops, wrong file. Oops, again the wrong file. We throw this keyword sender at you instead of just referring to this guy over here that we made a property out of. So if sender is a couple of different components, you could make a generic functionality. So if you had a generic method that used sender, it could be the sender, and we're going to look at this project called Introspect, where it doesn't really matter what we are, we're just the sender. So if the sender could be a text box, could be a label, could be a button, could be a whatever it is, y'all get to the same method by the same means. Your sender's different, then you can actually consider each one of the different components and figure out what the sender was and determine who sent me here and deal with that functionality separate. But this is overkill for the intended purpose of this example. So, all right. So what happens? The action method sets the output label to the text property with the reverse contents of the input string and the text property using the string by reverse string method that we added to NSString class. After doing this, the method calls the first responder on the sender, dismisses the output. So we should be able to test it and come up with some pretty decent output right now. So let's go ahead and run it. I'll run it on my simulator here so you guys can see it on the screen. If yours isn't working, this is what you should get. So give me some palindones. Ma'am, say M, A, ma'am, and okay, that's not going to work. So it's going to look the same. It's supposed to reverse it. This is a test. No, that did it. So, but then you have some words that are spelled forward that are spelled the same way backwards. Like ma'am was one of them. Or I don't know. The other class had a lot more creativity to them. Does anyone know of any of these? Ocean? No. No, ocean doesn't work. Mammal? No. Person? I don't know. What are they called? Palindromes? So so now let's go back to Google. I have to remember how to spell I'm sorry? Adam?
ABBA.
ABBA?
The group.
Oh yeah. No, that's too easy. So, let's see, how did you say that? Palindrome? Palindrome, here we go. Examples. Your dictionary. Simple word palindromes, stress or deserts. Is that possible? Let's see. Stressed or deserts. Oh, the or doesn't work.
No, I think it's just stress, deserts.
Deserts. Gotcha. Ah, evil and live. What's this? Evil and live. Oh, I see. But there's like words that go backwards. Let's see. Multiple word palindromes. Red rum. Step on no pets. Step on no pets. Step on no pets. Anyway, you could possibly please see the hours of entertainment that you can have with your new app. Stop now. 1 pots. Alright, so you know that the category is working. It's reversing your strings for you. Yeah. Anyway, so it's fun. So now in the future, I'm so happy with my palindromes. I want to use this in every one of my iOS apps. So what am I going to do? I'm going to have to reinvent the wheel all the time. No, you just drag these guys and you stick them in the project. And then you include the header file, like what we did up here. Oops, let me move this out of the way. You import, oh no, wrong file, hold on. You import the file and you use it just like you did your person and your employee and all your other classes. So, and basically you've got added functionality. That's an example of a class method. It's also an example of a category used in a project. Do we need a break or are we going to keep going? Break? Okay, so let's take a break and then we'll see, we saw categories, we'll see protocols next. So we'll take a break.